Number 8, reports from administration, the building department, report number CBN CBS 10-13. We have 4 in there. Looking for a motion to receive. Councillor Vokes and Deputy Mayor Melange. Any questions? Councillor Baker.
Thank you, through your worship. Again, I just want to point out, if we take a look at the commercial industrial section of the building permits, the values, this year, same time period versus last year, we're at 21 point, well actually let me just, specifically we're at 21.49 million compared to 3.7 million from last year. A significant increase to the value of the permits that we have in our region. That signals the fact that we're on the move. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, sir. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. B, Information Technology, report number 2013-001. Request for proposal results, Town of Essex Voice under Internet Protocol Phone System VoLP. Move and support the recommendation by Councillor Vokes. Councillor Bundy supports. Any questions? And that it be awarded to Empire Communications, right? Deputy Mayor Melange.
Thank you, through your worship. I'm going to pass this over to Jack. So exactly, like we're getting this new system, exactly what is it that what's the benefits of going to this versus what we have?
Through you, your worship, the benefits, well, just looking at what we currently have, our phone systems are slowly dying. The one system in Gesto, we're down to our last module. We pulled one out and the side was burnt. So the phone systems throughout the entire municipality are pretty old, and they're basically just a phone system, where nowadays new phone systems are all collaborative. It's integrated into Outlook, so we can get voicemail to email. The features are just endless, and also the central manageability. We can control everything, all phone systems, right at Town Hall, versus a lot of times we have to call in techs, and they go in and program the phone system, so we'll be able to better manage it and offer better service to the residents, because it'll be a one-stop shopping for the most part. You know, out other locations, just due to the limitations of Bell and the phone numbers, we may not be able to do that, but for the most part we'll be able to have one centralized office, one centralized systems that all calls can be passed through.
Yes, sir.
With all the same phone numbers that we have right now?
Yes, we're retaining all the phone numbers, porting them all to one central location. So when you say call the Essex Arena, you'll actually be calling Town Hall, and through the menuing system, it'll be routed through there. Like I said, the problems may be Harrow, Colchester, but we're looking at solutions of call forwarding. So it'll call forward right through the main office, and then they'll get the voicemail and all the other features.
Thank you. And the reason why I was asking was because I know with the library, Essex County Library, we went to a central system voiceover, and we had to change the phone number to a different phone number. That's why I was asking.
No, that was part of the tender, or the RFP, I'm sorry, was to retain current phone numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Baker.
Yeah, through your worship, to Jack. So in this, I don't recall in the report, how much will we be saving from a billing point of view by going to voice over internet on an annual basis?
I just received the figures today. We're looking at an annual savings of approximately $5,000 on just lines, and this is all I have is the Allstream. We have two carriers, Allstream and Bell. I was only able to get the information for Allstream, so just with that one, $5,000 a year. Also, it'll be unlimited long distance in North America. So I know with the harbor calling, you know, they have people coming in from the States, or I know the long distance just because of where they're at. So those long distance charges will be eliminated.
Okay, that's good, thanks.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. C, Corporate Services, report number 2013-40, contract interprovincial police. The recommendation is that Corporate Services Report 2013-40 entitled Contract Interprovincial Police be received and that the town enter an agreement, an amending agreement with the Ontario Provincial Police to continue under the current Section 10 Police Services Act contract agreement. Council Bowman? Moved by Councilor Bowman, supported by Councilor Baker. Any questions? All in favor of that motion? Councilor Baker.
I do. I actually would like to hear from Councilor Bowman being on the Police Services Board. Maybe just understanding the difference here, why we would stay with Section 10 on this. Are we still under contract with this? Or does this allow us to extend the current one?
Basically, the current one's being extended until a new one is signed, which won't be for a couple of months, I understand it, until the new formulas come out. So it just sort of extends what we're already doing.
Go ahead, Donna. Please, go ahead.
Through your worship, this will extend the contract to April of 2015, which is the time period that the OPP figure they'll have everything rolled out in terms of the costing formula. That was my understanding of it.
Yep, that's what I got out of it too. And the board decided to go this route versus 5.1 because we have more say in the way our policing is done. There's very little to nothing if we would have switched over to 5.1, so that was the reason for the recommendation from the Police Services Board to stay with the 10 section. Mayor Walsh.
Thank you, through your worship, to Donna. And I'm not sure if you'd have this answer at your fingertips or not, but I know that we have a police services a reserve, and we were keeping that reserve first 5 years, I think, that we flipped over to contract policing. Of that reserve, do we still have the bulk of those funds, and is this where some of this is going to come out of, or where is this coming from?
Through your worship, the extending the agreement will be simply a matter of budgeting from year to year. The additional in terms of the amount for the other direct operating expenses, that could come out of reserve. When we know exactly what those amounts are going to be, I'll be able to come back to council, because at that point, I'll not only know what those costs are going to be, but I'll also know what the wage portion is going to be, and we can make a decision whether or not to take some or all of that out of reserve. But yes, those reserves are still intact right now. And I believe it's around between 650 and 700, but somewhere in there.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know, generally, what it was.
Anything further? Councilor Bowman?
Just the formula and how it's being divvied up, or I guess how the pie is being divided, is under review, and not affecting police costs. It's just the formula that they're using to determine what our cost will be. That's probably a ways off before it happens, so who knows where it's going to come. We're already on the higher end, so maybe it'll be our benefit, maybe it won't. It's very difficult to predict. Both Donna and I and yourself, I believe, had a look at it this week, and it really was very inconclusive where we stand or where it's going to go. So it's sort of a wait and see what happens. Maybe we're better the way we are than changing to a new formula. I don't know, but you have to wait and see.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. D, Corporate Services Report Number 2013-41, Council and Staff Conferences Expenses. It is recommended that Corporate Service Report 2013-41 entitled Council and Staff Conferences Expenses be received. Councilor Scott? Supported by Councilor Baker. Any questions? Councilor Vokes?
Let Councilor Baker, okay. That's fine, don't matter who goes. But with that being said, I want to tell you, Mayor, I'm so happy that you applied the diligence to make sure that the expenditures of council aren't being overly exercised. Donna's report clearly shows, and Donna, thank you for that, because it was my intent to call you to make sure that you add in all seminars, and you took it upon yourself, and you done that to make sure the number is accurate. But I want to say to the press here tonight, in the media, because I want to make sure the story is written very clearly tomorrow and told very clearly, that when I, as a councillor, representing obviously the constituents in Essex, raised the concern about the monies being spent to go to conferences, if you, and again, we're going to talk tonight about the opportunity of I guess, videotaping these sessions, I made it very clear in that it was for the period of 2012 and to date at that time. And I also made it very clear during that, and again, you can see it for yourself, because I specifically pointed out Heather and Jeff as staff. And I also had said at that time that I was supportive of them going to conferences. And I want to share with everybody the figure that talks to 2012, and I have it in front of me if anybody wants to see it, for 2012 and 2013 for staff and council to date. And in 2012, council spent $25,904 attending conferences. Now, I want to make a point of interest. On the mileage, I didn't include the mileage into this summary because it's all lumped in there. I didn't see no division from conference miles to run of the normal daily business miles. So I didn't include that because I want to make sure it's factual in what I'm saying. I don't want to again be accused of just throwing numbers out there that aren't real, because the numbers I first threw out there are very real, and likewise so are these numbers. And it's all about just some good diligence to what we're doing. So again, for council in 2012, without the mileage included or the staff mileage included, was $25,904. For staff for 2012 for conferences was $26,605. And year-to-date, staff and council combined is $32,150. When you total those numbers together, it comes to $84,659, not including mileage. So if I was to add the mileage into that, my quote of $90,000 is actually giving some people a break. It's probably more than $90,000. But I just want to conclude with the fact is that the number I threw out there, $90,000, for the purpose of the record, is more than accurate in what I was saying, and I got the documents right here if anybody wants to see it. But in closing, your Mayor, I appreciate your diligence to requesting that information. Thank you.
Hey, Councillor Scott.
And I can't argue with Councillor Volk's numbers. I haven't seen them, but I can just state what's on the agenda, which has been put together by Donna and her team, which clearly states that our conference mileages are included in this total. No, I'm saying that for this year, $23,935 is inclusive of our mileage. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if I could, for the record, I did, John, just so you know, buddy, is I didn't include the mileage in 2012. That's what I'm saying to you. I agree with you. It's definitely Donna included it. Everything. Donna crossed every T and dotted every I as it relates to her request from the mayor for 2013. All I'm suggesting to you is I didn't include it in 2012 because it's lumped in to the mileage. But I appreciate your position, John. Thanks.
Councillor Bondi.
I just want to say that I believe administration is working on a policy at present, right? So hopefully we won't have, we'll have all our I's dotted and our T's crossed in the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing that policy and endorsing it.
Councillor Bowman? Oh, I thought you were giving me a nod. Anyone further? Me first? Yeah, but I usually go last. Okay.
Right, thank you.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, through your worship. So, Donna, thanks for putting this together, and thanks for bringing this up publicly, because it's very important to understand what the real numbers are. And the real numbers are, they show consistency. Now, last year, as a matter of fact, we probably spent a little bit more on conferences than we did this year so far, or will equal out. And what it does prove again is that there is benefit. Councillor Bowman just came back and has brought spoke with our municipal affairs lead to getting some clarity on market values and leases and stuff that we're dealing with right now. So it does work, it's important, and we're consistent. What I do want to point out to everybody in the public is that we have not gone beyond any policy. The policy was a certain amount that you were able to spend at each conference. We didn't have a frequency on it, however. And that's what we're dealing with in terms of a policy we're looking at. So what's important is that every one of these councillors here were within what they were to do and have brought back value. So that's all I need to say.
Anyone else? And the only issue, I'll speak last on it then, the only issue I had with this was the amount of money that was spent needlessly, and those were the comments. That's what ticked me off. Some people don't go to conference. That's a prerogative. Most of us think it makes sense to go for all the right reasons. And the ones that don't go are trying to make maybe the other people that spend a lot of money at conferences and everything look bad. I don't know what the reason is. But to me, it hit a sore spot when people said it's not worth the money. Well, to us as a municipality, the majority of us, I believe it is worthwhile. And it must be worthwhile for the whole, Essex County, Windsor-Essex County, because everyone does it. And if you don't, you're way behind the other guys. And Councillor Scott read the figures, with regards to building and everything. Like, we're right up there with the best of them, and maybe ahead of a lot of them, because we do have a lot of input with the ministers, and our members of parliament right in our own area. So to me, these things are all good, and I think the beef was, to me it was personally, that the council members are spending this money foolishly. To me, that was the thing, and it eventually got down to where it's administration and us. So it's to those people out there that think we're crazy by spending all this money. It's not just council, like it's the whole municipality. So that $90-some thousand is by all of us. And you can see if you look at the report, there's a lot of money spent on training, updating people with the updates they need to have to run the municipality. So with that, I'm asking the question. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Thank you. We're now at E-Communication, report number 2013-002. CFTV 34, videotaping of regular council meetings. And we have a recommendation there. Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Scott. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Outside of the obviously the nice environment that we have in affording the opportunity to use these particular chambers, recognizing the fee of $14,216 for the 2014 year for 22 council meetings, it has to, it's only my beliefs, and I may be challenged and proven wrong, but it has to hinge responsibly on how many actual hits are we getting. And when I look at the hits, and again, people can see it, if you go on YouTube and look at the hits, we're getting anywhere from 22 to 28. There was one obviously that went up as high as I think 98. That got some media attention, but traditionally on average we get 22 to 23 hits per council meeting. Well, I don't even think it's per council meeting, it's just 22 hits in general. So when I look at $14,216 and the concern of being transparent, does this council want to spend that money for 22 hits? That's the question. And I know it affords opportunity everybody to see it, but the proof is in the pudding. I think our intent was to run it on a trial basis for a period and see what kind of response we got on it. and again, the hits are minimal. So I don't think it's proven to be as the worthy, transparent venture that we set it out to be. Again, the amount of people hitting on it is that proof. Really, like, it's 14 grand people.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Phillips?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, the number of hits that the councillor speaks about, I take it that that's YouTube that you're referring to, if I might ask?
Yeah, it don't matter where you go and look, it's all the same.
I just wanted the clarity on that, is that if it's YouTube that you're specifically looking at, I know our communications manager has done some analytics, but more so, and I don't know that, I think we've got better numbers than that, councillor, but the other aspect to that is that the televised council sessions are being broadcast on local channels and Bell, so that there's a number of different ways of picking up I don't YouTube it, for example. I do see, and I do follow up with watching a few of our sessions, and just for clarity, and I have, my resources are strictly through Bell TV. I don't go to YouTube to see them. I know some people will, but I think there's other opportunities to view it. So I just want to make sure that we understand that there's a number of different opportunities, or a number of different avenues to view the council sessions.
So then, could maybe Lori share with us the county Nielsen ratings on, I'm being a little sarcastic there by saying Nielsen ratings, but how they measure how many people are actually watching it?
Okay, Laurie, please.
Certainly, through you, Your Worship. We don't have clear statistics. The problem is that CFTV doesn't pay for those statistics. They're incredibly expensive. So we don't actually know how many people are watching it over the air or over the internet or through Bell Satellite or in these other ways. All we do know is what is happening on our YouTube channel. And the number is a little bit difficult to determine as well, the YouTube hits, because tonight's proceedings, for example, will be segmented into 3 or 4 sections. So we can see how many people look at each section. We don't know if the same people are looking at all 3 or 4 sections for each meeting. So on average, we have about 141 people or hits on the average council meeting. At this point, we've only had 5 meetings. So it's a little bit difficult to judge what will happen in future, given time and the interest in certain issues that come before council. But, you know, this is the state of our statistics right now. That's the best that we can say.
Thank you. I have Councillor Baker, or no, Councillor Bowman, then Councillor Baker, and then Councillor Bondi.
I was probably one of the ones that was most opposed to moving over here. I thought it was better to stay in our old cozy confines at the town hall. It presented issues, and especially with the recording part of it. And now we're here, and it's being recorded. You can look at it on TV if you want. I might add, I watched it from the start to bitter end one night, and I'm thinking if people, that's all they've got to do, it's kind of sad. But having looked at it and said that, it is a record of everything that went on at council. And in today's society where transparency is so important, I can see the light, I guess you would say, and I think it's probably worthwhile. If it's the $14,000, it's probably the cheapest form of being able to record it that we'll have. It does present problems having to come here for our council meetings, but it will free up some room in our town hall as well. So that's the other trade-off that I think is positive. So I'm in favor of staying here, just from the aspect of the idea that we have recording of everything that goes on here, what's said, and I think it'll be invaluable in the future, because I know from time to time, especially in old records, they said, what was that motion or how was it worded? At least now you can actually go back and find out what was said. It may be difficult to find, but it's available. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Baker?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you. I can't base any information on any anecdotal numbers in terms of the hits when somebody says that's how many there are. And what I'm doing is I'm referring to the report, and the report clearly identifies that there's been success in this particular in these sessions. So since November the 7th, and I'm going to read right from the report because it's important for people to hear. I'm not sure where 21 comes from, but what I do read in the report says since November the 7th, there actually has increased to 727 viewers with approximately 4,549 minutes. But what's important is that 562 of them were for council specific. So when they went to YouTube, it was about council specific. So of that, the remaining 165 were promotional ideas. So based on the 141, it's suggesting based on 141 per meeting, we may expect, and this is from the report, we may expect to see as many as 1,120 viewers over the course of the 8-week pilot project. That is different than 21 in my mind when I'm reading it. So there is value in that, and in addition to the recorded analytics here, I'm hearing anecdotal. Now we can bring up anecdotal information. I'm hearing from people that do watch this, that call and say, we heard it, they brought up an issue. They know what's coming, they respond to things. And some of them now responding after the fact, they're going, I wish I would have known that. Well, we get a chance of saying, it's important that you stay in touch with this. This is working, and what Councillor Bowman says, it is important because it records everything we do, which is very important. I see the value in this. Over a period of time, we're going to see the value even more. It's going to increase. Thank you.
Councilor Bundy?
Thank you. I, like Councillor Vokes, didn't at first agree with it, but seeing the comments on the streets when I'm walking around town, and I think Councillor Baker, Councillor Scott, and I, coming from the southern end of the municipality, even the Deputy Mayor Meloche, it's nice to have accessible municipal politics right at their door. And that's what I like. And it's an educational tool, too. It keeps our communities informed of what we're doing. I've used it a few times just to say, what did he say again? What did she say? What did I say? So it's great. I like it that way. I just have a question to administration through you, Mr. Mayor, to Donna. Is this something already included in our budget? Did we anticipate this cost?
Through you, Your Worship, I believe most of this cost, if I'm right, Lori, was for 2014.
Yes, that's correct.
So in other words, that will be included in the 2014 budget if it's approved by council.
Okay, thank you. I think it's also just catching on, too. So I could certainly support this for the year 2014, and then I would like to see a review around this time next year and see what the council of the day at that point wants to do for the following year.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion. Councilor Baker?
I'd like to make an additional motion that we receive, in addition to receiving the report, that we a motion to approve the recommendations for the additional 22 tapings it is for this year.
Yeah, that was right in there.
But we just made a motion to receive the report. We did not make a motion to vote on it. So now I'm asking to get a seconder to vote on the recommendation.
The secretary.
Through Your Worship, the motion reads to receive and support the recommendations in the report.
That was from Randy.
Okay.
I don't think that is correct, so I just want to clarify from... No, I was going to ask them if you support it with questions, and I wanted to understand what they were doing. She did it. Very good.
Yep. Okay.
I wanted to understand what we were spending the money on. Why do you think, didn't you see me put my hand up? Did you call the question?
Yeah.
Because I just want to know what we get for getting, and even though it's there, it's discount for free, it makes sense.
Good. So it's passed. Thank you very much. F, Community Services, report number 13-015, heating and cooling system at various municipal buildings. And we do have a recommendation.
Receiving support.
Receive and support, Councilor Vokes. Councilor Scott?
Did we miss one, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, did we?
Oh, that's excellent.
No, we just left E, didn't we?
Is that?
No, no, I'm at F.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is one in between?
Sorry, the electronic version was wrong up there. Yes.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, okay, got it.
So are we at F,
Yes.
which is Community Services Report 13015?
It's regarding Essex.
Cooling systems? No?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we're at F, cooling systems. Heating and cooling system of various municipal buildings. You don't have that one, John?
Yeah, I have that as G. I'm just
Oh.
concerned, are we going to, are we after that?
Yeah.
Yes, right. Yep. So the recommendation is that report Community Services 13-015 from Director of Community Services be received and, awards to the two different places. And Councilor Vogts moved and moved the recommendations. And Councilor Scott supported that. So we have questions, if there are any questions. Give you a chance to zip over to F. We're on F, the cooling system, Councilor. And then we'll go to the,
It's G on here,
oh,
but that's the report.
Just refer to the...
It was mixed up.
report number 13-015. That's the one we're dealing with. Yeah. Okay.
We know that. I know that,
Yeah,
yes. Thank you.
yeah. We're at report number 13-015, whatever letter it is. Yes, heating and cooling system of various municipal buildings. Didn't we already, Councilor? I think Councilor Vogts did, and
Right.
no.
Did not vote on.
Yes, Councilor Vogts, no. And then, well, we're just finding out where we're at here. So, well, we all do now. Thanks. Any questions to the motion? Councilor Baker.
So we will be approving, there's an under-budget surplus that is being asked to be moved to a rotary mower, correct? Do we typically just, the question is, do we go to budget to see where we're at? And when we're in budget deliberations to see where we're at, we know we have money, should we not looking at doing it there? Or is there an emergency requirement that we need to do this now? If I can ask, through your worship, to Mr. Sweet, if he had the opportunity to give an answer.
Through your worship, in this case, the surplus was one a previous tender where there was extra funds, so we took it out of our department as opposed to administration. But I can defer to Donna if she wants that to go to a different direction in the future. But that's where it came from this year, from a surplus we had in a previous tender in our department.
In a previous budget year, the surplus?
In 2013, the current year.
Donna, comment?
Through you, Your Worship, quite often during the year, a department, when they're letting out their tenders, they'll have a tender go out in one area that comes in under, and then another one comes in over, and they'll just come to council, and that's our procurement bylaw, to come to council for approval to shift funds from one project to another.
In the same department, correct?
Through you, generally, yes.
Yeah, that's good, so it's normal procedure, thank you.
Sir, anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Okay, Community Services Report number 2013-016. Essex Minor Hockey request to adjust ice time, and there is a recommendation that we receive, and Councillor Bundy? Okay, Councillor Scott? And question, Councillor Bundy?
Just want to thank administration for going back to the drawing board and meeting with the Essex Minor Hockey, and it seems like we've met them halfway. Like, we started at $20,000 and now we're, covering 12, so I think that's fair. And I hope, if you need to take the liberty, Doug, to review the ice time policy, I think now would be the time to do it, because I think we should go full steam ahead with the policy in stone for 2014.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. H, Community Services Report number 2013-017, lease renewal for operation of the skate sharpening pro shop, the Essex Center Sports Complex, with a recommendation. Councillor Vokes, Councillor Bowman. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carried. Community Services Report number 2013-018, Essex Center Silos, recommendation, the County Community Services Report 2013-018 from the Director of Community Services received and Deputy Mayor Malash. Supported by Councilor Baker. Any questions? Councilor Vokes.
I understand the numbers. Obviously, it's pretty significant, but I think in fairness, with the mural committee being with us every step of the way, I think it would be fair again to meet with them and as a committee as a whole, and not just Mr. Jelinas, and sit down and share these reports and these numbers with them. They've been very, very adamant and very excited about getting those silos done. And just to discard it with a report that says, here it is, council, unless I'm misunderstanding it, then we should be sitting down for a few minutes with them prior to our next council meeting even, and talk to them about this report, so they all understand it too.
Mr. Phillips. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor, through you. Doug has, Mr. Sweet has had discussion, as you indicate, Councillor, with Chris Jelinas with the mural committee. In all due respect, council had given administration very strict or very direct directions previously in terms of when Mr. Jelinas made his pitch to make or plea to get the funding. That was authorized by council. What administration has since done is bringing back the information to council first. That's what this report is doing tonight. With your direction now, we will certainly have that conversation with the mural committee, but we wanted to apprise council first, and that's the information that's in front of you this evening. Doug's gone to a further, delved into it, looked at the condition report of that particular structures, and there needs to be recommendations. And what it's saying is that part of the project deliberations or part of our budget deliberations coming up have to take this into account, whether or not it's wholesale changes or demolition or remediation or reconstruction. We're not sure. That will be your decision, but we'll certainly have that conversation with them. But I think the first step was to come back to council, because you had given us earlier direction, or given Chris direction, I guess, to say, go ahead and do the grant. And we're saying, hold on, we need to pause and catch our breath here and take a look at this. And I think that's the information that we've put in front of you this evening.
So if I could, thank you, Your Worship. And so in order to have that dialogue as a council, recognizing what's before us tonight, can we do that as a direction to administration to set that up, or does it have to be done through a motion to have a meeting with the mural committee of our current position?
Through you, Your Worship, we do have a mural committee meeting this Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and that's where I was going to bring this forward, and I believe Councillor Bowman will also be at that meeting. So I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, my preference was actually to meet with the mural committee as a whole and council as a whole, right? And if we could just maybe set that up prior to the next council meeting, as we had tonight, on it, even a half hour before a council meeting, because I don't think it'll take long to show them what our financial strain of it, and then just have them recognize where they stand with it, that's all. If council doesn't want to do that, I understand it, but I'm just trying to make sure that we just don't simply discard their wishes by a simple receiving a report.
Okay, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but through the clerk, I believe that any committee meeting of council is open to any member of council. So if there is a committee meeting this Wednesday, all members of council are thereby invited or can be included if you so choose.
Okay?
We're arguing who's going to say that. I was going to say the same thing, sir. And I know Deputy Mayor Malash and I won't be there because we have a county council meeting that evening, but anyone else is able to go. Councillor Bowman and Councillor Bundy.
Yeah, and I can't attend because we got our youth center meeting that evening, at this Wednesday. I got to be there at 5:30. So I would just prefer, I don't know why council doesn't want to just meet with them. Like, where's the harm and foul in that?
Well, I don't think it's a point of not wanting to meet with them. It's a point of being able to meet with them. They're having a meeting Wednesday with regards to this. I don't think they're going to put it off just because we want to meet with them.
Well, can't we just table it and somehow until we can meet with them as a council whole?
Well, ask the mural committee to table it.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe Mr. Sweet could talk him out of having the meeting. I don't know. I have Councillor Bowman and then Councillor Bundy.
I mean, the numbers that are portrayed on the thing as far as financial impact, those numbers have been out there for some time, so that's no surprise to anybody. If we're just receiving the report, so be it. There's no action being taken, I don't believe. You're receiving it, and it'll come to the committee's meeting this Wednesday night. It'll be discussed, and we'll come back and go whatever direction we're going to go. I think at this time that's the appropriate action, so unless somebody else gets some other ideas.
Okay, Councillor Bundy.
Thank you. I just had one question. And I thought I saw it with the old report, but do we have an estimate on the cost to demo?
Through your worship, I tried to get that number before this meeting, and the contractor did not get back to me. That is one of the recommendations by council to direct me to get those numbers.
Councillor Bowman.
I think some earlier numbers were fairly high, and I think there's some new processes in place now, so the demolition would be considerably cheaper than the original estimate. So, but that's just, some numbers that are out there. But really, it's where are we going with them, and let's bring it to a forward and go one way or the other with them. But they're sitting there, and we're getting no place. So either we bring them up to snuff and put the murals on them as has been proposed, and there's some people that are working hard towards that, and are actively looking at some funding models, from not the general public, but from the corporation. So those are the type of things that would need to go in with it rather than town funding, because obviously if we got to put $500,000 or $1 million into a project like this, municipality can't afford it. So it's got to come in some other direction. So those are the things that are being actively looked at, and if it's going to happen, then it'll happen. If it's not, it's not. But it's bringing it to the forward, and let's go ahead with it. Either it happens or we do something else with it, and maybe it's not murals, maybe it's some other aspect of it that makes it a mark in our community. But those are things that are out there, and let's get them on the table. Let's get it going one way or the other, because they've sit there for how many years now, since the municipality took them over. So now it's time to do something, and hopefully it'll move forward fairly quickly.
Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I just want to make sure I understand this. So if the dialogue takes place this Wednesday with the mural committee, and the question arises as one of the mural committee members are there if the question arises. So that being, is council supporting, or not supporting this type of fee to revitalize the silos? That question's going to be raised, right? I would assume in that meeting. So what's the answer?
Mr. Sweet?
Through your worship. And I think that's the intent of the report, as Councillor Bowman stated. It reads that there's no decision to be made, but nothing has happened to date. So it's now to say, go get some numbers, so during your 2014 budget deliberations, council can make a decision to either restore the silos or do something else with that area. So there's no decision being asked for in this report. It's just saying, allow us to go get information, so during budget deliberations, council can decide one way or another what they would like to do.
If I could, I appreciate that, but let's not kid one another. Council ain't going to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's asking here to revitalize those. Why are we delaying it? Like, we need to meet with the committee. If the committee has ways of alleviating those financial strains, which they do, by the way, then we should have those discussions with them. I'm understanding from members of that committee, they got over $300,000 put away for revitalization.
And the information, Randy, that you have, we're going to learn that Wednesday night. That's why they're having that meeting, so...
I appreciate that. I don't want to prolong it. As long as we make sure, I don't want to delay it, though, to be honest with you. And I understand we're heading into December. I don't want to delay it till 2014 to discuss it in budget, which we're never going to do.
I'm sure we will. Doesn't matter. Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Mr. Sweet's report speaks to the fact that there's, and this is from the Haddad Morgan study of a few years ago now, the town is not putting maintenance into these facilities or into these structures right now, and the exterior face of the silos has experienced notable decay, is what the report speaks to. And I think the urgency that Doug and I have discussed, or administration has looked at, is the immediacy of any liability. We already experienced a building earlier this year that had a partial collapse. And it's the immediacy of when an engineer writes a report and says that there's structural deficiencies, it's incumbent upon the community or upon the municipality to ensure that that liability is reduced. It was my urging to Doug to push this thing forward in terms of looking at the structural integrity, and council ultimately will have to make the decision as to whether or not you fund or whether or not the mural committee funds, but the immediacy is, are there things that need to be done now? Are there things that we should be doing to structurally secure the building? Or we face the risk of some future liability. And it's not to suggest that there's any panic or any alarm right now, but I think it's something that we need to continue to focus on. To a degree, I think we kind of put it on the back burner. And this was raising the attention to council, which we certainly, administration's got your attention again on it. And I think the mural committee can meet, discuss their options, and at a later date, I would strongly encourage all of council to sit down with them and have that further discussion. But I'm not certain that, my concern was more the structural integrity and what do we do. And in the meantime, I think what we're asking for Doug's purposes is, can we go out and do some more work on it, get some cost estimates, look at the structure, what may need to be done immediately, and what are the needs of the mural committee in terms of, I don't think there's portions of the structure that aren't needed. The metal silos, the smaller metal silos, I think have always been considered to be taken off. If they are unsound, perhaps that's maybe the first measure we should be looking at. So it's one of administration doing its due diligence. And then secondly, I guess, is the longer term plan. What do you want to do with that silo site? And it's a part of that whole streetscaping or center of Essex vision.
Councilor Baker. Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Excuse me. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. J, Infrastructure and Development, report number Drainage 2013-04, the appointment of an engineer for improvements to the Bailey Affleck Drain. And there is a recommendation. Councilor Oakes moves, supported by Councilor Bowman. Any questions to the motion? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Okay, Infrastructure and Development, report number 13-17, results of the William Cornwell pumping works. There is a recommendation. Elmara, good by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. L, Infrastructure and Development Report number 13-15, results of Maidstone Avenue West Water Main Looping Project, and there is a recommendation. Okay, Councillor Vokes moves, supported by Councillor Scott. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Malash.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Graff.
Right.
So we're going to connect at this point. Where's the next closest connecting point for these two systems?
Through you, Your Worship, right now it terminates at the corner of Maidstone and Allen Ave, and on the other side of the tracks, right just past the old Sun Parlor School. So we're going to do the interconnect under the tracks.
If you had to trace back to the next connection, where would it be? Do those two sides connect now, but further down somewhere else? Arthur and somewhere else, or?
Mr. Nepsey?
Through your worship, the town's interconnected throughout the town. What happened was we were creating a loop on that Maidstone Avenue earlier in the year. We ran through issues with the railway tracks as far as how we could construct underneath the railway tracks. Since then, they've lessened the restrictions on their construction practice because it's no longer technically a railway. So they used to require geotechnical investigations, railway inspection, et cetera, et cetera. So the time's come now that we're able to do that work and basically complete the work that we had tendered previously.
Thank you.
Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. M, Infrastructure and Development, report number 13-16, Ontario Clean Water Association contract for water and wastewater services with a recommendation. Councillor Baker and Councillor Bowman. Any questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Correspondence. Donna Hunter, Director of Corporate Services. Jeff Morrison, CGA.